All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. We're going to totally bypass the science fiction today and dig straight into some recently declassified files to uncover the actual geopolitical reality behind UFOs. You know, for decades, just the mere mention of unidentified flying objects has conjured up these crazy images of Hollywood blockbusters and, well, little green men. But today, we're sifting through the raw data together. We're looking at historical records and actual military logs to figure out what is really happening up there in our skies.
So we're starting with this absolutely gripping mystery from 2023. Picture this. At an undisclosed location right here in America, federal agents are out on a totally routine evening operation. But then, they witness something highly unusual. A round, glowing orange orb just hovering in the sky. And get this, it wasn't just some one-off hallucination. Over the next 2 days, 3 completely different teams reported seeing the exact same phenomenon. Startlingly, they even saw smaller red orbs literally launching out of the mothership. 6 highly trained officers actually gave sworn statements to this effect. And honestly, the story has a wild sequel. Cut to 2025, and a senior intelligence official in a helicopter ends up chasing a similar object. But this thing? It instantly jumped 20 miles away. It moved so fast they couldn't even attempt to track it. Crazy, right?
Now, before we get too deep into the heavy data, we really need to define our terms clearly. I mean, I know pop culture immediately jumps to aliens, but let's remember that a UFO is literally just that, unidentified. We are strictly talking about objects that simply defy our current understanding of physics and aviation. Things performing maneuvers we just can't readily explain yet.
To try and shed a little light on these anomalies, on May 8, 2026, the U.S. Department of War released a massive data drop. We're talking about 162 previously classified files suddenly made public on a new webpage. And this wasn't just a boring stack of heavily redacted paperwork either. This drop contained 28 videos and 14 images that the public had absolutely never seen before. The whole shebang included FBI documents, Pentagon reports, and State Department cables.
And honestly, the scope of this mystery is just baffling. Take 2023, for example. An object off the coast of Greece pulled 90-degree turns at 80 miles per hour. I mean, maneuvers like that would completely shred any known aircraft. And it doesn't stop there. We track similar, almost magic-like vanishing acts in Iraq, Syria, and Japan. The physics literally just don't add up, leaving even the most seasoned experts scratching their heads.
But you know, this mystery isn't just terrestrial. Let's shift gears to Section 1 and look at encounters in outer space, well beyond our own atmosphere.
Imagine being ground control and hearing this coming through the radio. Just hours into the Gemini 7 mission back in 1965, astronaut Frank Borman radioed Houston with exactly that quote. He specifically used military terminology, bogey, which is a word usually reserved for unidentified enemy aircraft or missiles here on Earth. Ground control actually asked him if he was just seeing the spacecraft's booster, but Borman confirmed he saw the booster separately. He had genuinely spotted a distinct third object floating in space.
And this definitely wasn't an isolated event. During the historic Apollo 11 mission, astronauts reported unexplained flashing lights right in their cabin, and later on, a huge sparkling light source on the moon itself. Apollo 12 crews noted really unusual light flashes near their landing site too. But maybe most intriguingly, a photo from the Apollo 17 mission in 1972 captured 3 unexplained dots in a perfect triangular formation just above the lunar surface. And after decades of silence on the matter, the US government is now preliminarily admitting these could be actual physical objects.
So, we've got all these incredible sightings on Earth and out in space. But if we actually want to solve this puzzle, we have to stop and ask ourselves, is there a hidden pattern to exactly where these objects appear on our planet?
When you lay it all out, the geographical overlap is undeniable. The modern hotspots, places like the western US, Greece, Iraq, Syria, Japan, and the Strait of Hormuz, well, they aren't random locations at all. These highly advanced objects almost exclusively pop up precisely where the US military is most active and where the most sophisticated monitoring systems on the entire planet are deployed. It really begs the question, right? Why would extraterrestrials only be interested in American military bases?
To figure out why, we need to take a quick step back in time. Moving into Section 2, let's trace the actual history of flying saucers and see how this whole cultural phenomenon started.
We can actually track the explosion of UFO culture pretty much linearly. It all kicked off in June 1947. A pilot named Kenneth Arnold saw 9 shining objects over Mount Rainier, and he described them moving like a saucer would if you skipped it across water. Well, the media totally misunderstood him. coined the term flying saucers, and boom, a global phenomenon was born. Literally just weeks later, debris was found in Roswell, New Mexico. The Army shockingly put out a press release claiming they recovered a flying disc, only to awkwardly backtrack the very next day and blame it on a weather balloon. Talk about mixed signals.
Naturally, this global hysteria pushed the US government to launch Project Blue Book in 1952. And this was a massive initiative. We're talking about a staggering 12,000 UFO investigations conducted over a span of 17 years.
The investigators were incredibly thorough with this. They found that the vast majority of these sightings were actually just weather balloons, misidentified planets, or regular old airplanes. But here's the kicker. Exactly 701 cases from that era remained entirely unexplained.
So what on earth were those 701 objects? Let's dive into Section 3 and uncover the military spy connection. It took decades, but the truth behind Roswell finally emerged. Turns out, the US government was perfectly happy to let the whole alien myth thrive because, well, it was the ultimate cover for Cold War espionage. That spaceship debris, yeah, that was actually Project Mogul, a highly classified spy balloon used for monitoring Soviet nukes. And those alien bodies? Air Force test dummies and victims of plane crashes. Letting the general public believe in aliens was honestly a brilliant strategic move. It prevented an international crisis and kept Soviet spies totally in the dark about America's surveillance tech.
Now, apply that historical lens to today. Think about that Chinese spy balloon that was shot down in 2023. When we look at modern sightings around the globe, the evidence heavily suggests we're witnessing modern versions of this exact same game. We're talking highly classified US assets, Chinese mothership drones, or foreign surveillance from nations like Iran, all testing our defenses under the incredibly convenient guise of UFOs. And as for those mysterious flashes out in space, astronauts like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin later pointed out they were likely just natural phenomena, stuff like sunlight leaking through cabin covers or tiny radiation particles.
Okay, let's bring all this data together for our final section. Let's see how all of this investigation finally helps us explain the unexplained.
In an effort to finally put all the wild speculation to rest, the U.S. Defense Department established a task force called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. Their mission was to systematically investigate every single UFO claim and record spanning all the way from 1945 right up to 2023.
And their final verdict was completely definitive. There is absolutely zero proof of extraterrestrial technology visiting Earth. None. There are no secret, government-run, reverse engineering programs hidden away in a bunker somewhere. The vast majority of these sightings are confidently identified as drones, weather balloons, spy planes, and satellites. The report makes it super clear that releasing these files to the public without providing that vital context, it honestly just fuels conspiracies and pseudoscience.
It's also fascinating to look at the timing of these declassifications. Our source material notes a really interesting theory, that the Trump administration might have actually utilized the release of the UFO files to deliberately manufacture a news distraction from controversies like the Epstein files. I mean, it relies on a very simple truth. Mystery absolutely thrives where transparency is absent. That makes UFOs a surprisingly effective geopolitical tool for diverting public attention.
Ultimately, we all share this deep, innate curiosity about life beyond Earth. But as we look up at the stars, we have to remember this logical maxim. We have to ask ourselves, are blurry, out-of-context infrared videos truly enough extraordinary evidence to prove we aren't alone in the universe? Or are we really just catching glimpses of the highly classified, incredibly human realities of global geopolitics? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious, everyone, and always keep asking the right questions.